Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make your very own pan flute out of straws. So, I will be uploading a video soon on how to make a pan flute out of plastic bottles. So make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you'll know when that video comes out. So for this flute, you'll need some straws, a pair of scissors, and tape. So depending on the size of pan flute you're going for, you'll need different amounts of straws. For 1 octave, it's about 13 straws. For 2 octaves or 3 octaves, it's 20 straws. You'll also need some sort of device which you will use to tune the pan flute, like a keyboard. If you don't have a keyboard, you can use GarageBand on any Apple device, or you can find a keyboard or a tuner online. You will have to tune the pan flute on your own, because depending on the thickness of the straws, the length will also need to be different. So first of all, get your straw and blow into it. And try to hear which note it is. You can figure that out by using your tuner or keyboard. So you can go ahead and open GarageBand. Create an empty project with the keyboard option. So if we listen to the straw again, it's very difficult to hear which note it is. So if you want to, you can go ahead and try to sing it. And then you just try to match it with the notes on the keyboard. It's easier for me to hear when I sing which note it is than to just hear straight from the straw. So this pink straw, it's an E. So to enable this keyboard that pops up, all you have to do is you can press Command K. If that doesn't work, you can go to Window, Show Musical Typing. And there you have it. So here's our E, and we can just go ahead and cut a bit of this off. Not too much though. So I can actually see a difference. So let's try to hear the interval. If I try to play this on the keyboard, the pink straw is E. That doesn't sound right. Still doesn't sound right. See, that sounds right. But let's just other notes. See, it might sound like one note, but then another one might actually be right. I think it's a good idea if you figure out any notes to just jot them down before you forget them. Let's just make a scale. Let's say we want to go from C to C for 1 octave. So it's C, C sharp, D, B, and C. So this is just 1 octave. If you want, you can write the length of the straw down, or what I would like to do is put down the color of the straw. So for example, E is pink, F sharp is purple. I think we also need to put down that this is C5. On GarageBand it shows C4, although it's actually C5. If you hear this, that would be in reality C5 and show C4. So this pink E would then be E5. The numbers are just used to indicate what specific C it is, just to make it a bit easier for us. So I would say the more straws you have, the easier it would be to guess the intervals. So let's go ahead and cut another one. This time let's cut it a bit shorter, about here. So we're going to guess the blue straw now. Going onto the keyboard again. it sounds to me like it's an A. I'm just gonna jot that down as well. So we have E, F sharp, A. And all you do is basically just continue like that. Cut up straws, hear what notes they are. And remember, the more straws you cut, the easier it will be to figure out which notes they are, because then you will have more intervals to guess the notes. So we're taking another straw. I would say try to fill in the gaps that you don't have so far. So for example, I know that I need a note between E and F sharp. So I need an F. And here I can see I have these two. So I need a length between these two straws. I'm just going to place the orange straw in between, and then just see, this is where about the middle of the two is. So according to my planning, I should have an E, F, F sharp, and an A. Let's see if that works out. So there should be semitones in between the E, the F, and the F sharp. Let's see. I think that sounds right. And then the A. Yeah, I think that does sound right. Just remember, depending on which thickness of straws you use and the length total straw is, and depending on a lot of things, you will have a much different experience. So I'm just showing you how to go about this process by just cutting the straws, listening, trying to figure out, listening for the intervals. And your notes will also not look the same as mine, because obviously you're trying out different things than I'm doing right now. You're going about the same process but with different measurements and thicknesses, etc. So just continue like you have done now. Cut the straws, notate them, and even if you struggle to hear the notes, the more straws you cut, the easier it will become. And remember, try to sing the notes if you can. Like copy the note and then listen to it, because it's easier to hear your voice than it is to hear the pan flute note. So I'm just going to finish cutting this one octave. So as you can see, I have almost cut all the straws I need for one octave. I still need these bottom notes though. Luckily my straws have these things where you can expand them like this. So here I need lower notes, and the longer the tube is, the lower the note is. If I expand it like this, then essentially what I am doing is making a lower note. So here you can see the original length of the straw was the length of the pink one, but I changed it by expanding it to the blue length. So I can do it even more, and then try to hear which note it is. So the blue one is D sharp, while the pink one is E. Now, if your straws don't have this thing where you can expand it, that's completely fine. I would think that you can just use two straws and tape them together. I think that would work. Just make sure you tape them precisely so that there's no gaps in between. But if your straws do have this expand thing, I would suggest using it, because it's really convenient when, you know, this is the longest you have but you want longer. The crucial thing to remember throughout this whole process is that the longer the straw, the lower the note. The shorter the straw, the higher the note. If you keep that in mind, then it'll do completely fine. Just going to continue by making these few lower notes, lower than the original E we had. So now I have all the notes I need for one octave. Obviously, if you want more than one octave, you would need to carry on, but this is one octave I have right here. So these are the 13 straws I started out with, and now I have 1 octave. Just remember the straws that you cut up, the pieces. Remember to keep that for the later octaves. If you want your pan flute to be larger, I think you can make 2 octaves or 3 octaves. Mine personally is 3 octaves because I like to play songs with a large range. But if you just want to do 2 octaves, that's also fine. Between each note there should be a semitone. And if there isn't, just adjust the length of the straw by cutting off a bit or maybe cutting a new straw if it's completely wrong. But you can clearly hear if it is chromatic. So that's chromatic scale. So just continue. Cut up how many octaves you want, and then next we'll stick all the straws together to actually make it easier to hold. So here you can see how I notated all of this. It was actually quite difficult to keep all of them in the same order, since they can get mixed up easily. So what I did is I rearranged them in the order that I wrote down. That would be easier for you as well to not mix them up. The next step is to stick all of the straws together. But since we include all the sharps and the flats, we can't just stick them all together, we have to do it a specific way. So on your notepad, what you're going to do is take the notes without the sharps or the flats. So you go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, without the C sharp and the D sharp, etc. So if we see, we have C. This one I'm just going to put aside. D. Put D sharp aside. E. And remember to take F across. B, C. So for 1 octave, you should have 8 notes that don't include sharps or flats. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And you do exactly the same for how many octaves you have. So now we have all the notes in 3 octaves that don't include the sharps and flats. So I have 22 pieces of straws here in total. If you have 2 octaves, you should only have 14. And if you have 1 octave, you should only have 8. So now you can just go ahead and stick 1 octave together. So an octave is 8 notes, yeah. Just align them correctly so that all the tips are even here at the top. You can just stick them together. But I found when I do that, the pieces are very close together because my straw is very thin. If you prefer that, or if your straw is thicker, I would suggest just sticking them together, but I'm going to do it another way. With the excess pieces that you have left of the straws, you can cut little bits like this. So you can put these pieces in between just like this. And then you take the tape and you obviously stick the pieces together. Just make sure these tops stay even. And you stick the backs as well. This will make it much easier to play the notes since there's a gap in between. And you can also add bits at the bottom if that makes it easier for you. Also give the pan flute a more rigid shape. Next, you take the bits of straws that are your sharps and flats. So C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, etc. And what you do is you turn the pan flute around. So this is C, this is D. Then you put it in between, but make sure it's not at the same height as the other ones. should be slightly lower. So again, you can place them. You put them in a format like a keyboard would be. I was suggesting sticking all of them one by one because it's difficult to keep them in place like this. And make sure they're in the middle of two other notes. So that's one octave. And depending on how many octaves you have, you can just stick all the pieces together to form your 2-octave or 3-octave pan flute. So just to check if you still have the right notes in the right order, you can just use your keyboard again. Obviously yours could have 2 octaves or 3 octaves or however many you want. So if you want, you could test it out, play a little song, like something simple maybe. Yeah, so I'm not the best pan flute player, but it should go something like that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, remember to subscribe because I will have more videos coming out on this topic soon. And if anything was unclear to you, or you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section. So bye, and see you next time.